Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Artist Spotlight Show, being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady, and Music Dreams USA Radio. We are a Titan Events Incorporated and Rise Up Family Sports radio station, and thank you so much for coming on board. I know it's been a while since we've been on the air with our Artist Spotlight Show. With the holidays and our traveling and all that. So it seems like ages since we've been here, but it's so great to be back with all of our friends who are watching now that we'll be watching later. If you are an upcoming artist and you're looking to get your name out there, and who knows, you could be the next artist on our show. Reach out to Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady. He will hook you up. In the meantime, we've got a really cool artist that'll be joining us here in just a moment. His name is David Hammerschlag, and he has got a really cool song. And we're going to tell you about that song in just a moment here as I look at my little cheat sheet here. And it's a great song, and it's called Take Me to a Country Town." That's one of his latest songs right now. He has other hits out as well. He's got 16 at the movies, Garage Band Blues, and many, many more. And we're going to find out about those songs. We're going to find out about David. How did he begin his musical career? What makes him love music so much? And how did he get connected to Mr. Stephen Brady? We'll find out this and much more. And so, without any further ado delay, let's introduce our amazing artist, Mr. David Hammerschlag. David, how are you, sir?
Hi, Russell. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
And so, did I pronounce your last name right?
Spot on.
I know. I before I went live on the air, I had to do a little bit of a practicing there, make sure I didn't butcher your name live on the air. That would not be good.
No, you
So,
got it right.
how you doing this evening? You doing okay?
Yes, it's morning for me, but yeah, I'm doing great.
So, what
It's
part of
morning.
Australia are you from?
I'm in Sydney, Australia. So
Oh,
it's
Sydney.
it's 11:14 a.m. over here. So and it's raining. It's been raining all morning. So
Well, hopefully,
um,
after this interview, hopefully
no
we'll get
better weather.
some. So let's kick off our interview. I mean, let's talk about your new song that we just mentioned on the air. Tell us about that song. How did it come about, and how you feel about that song right now?
Right. I'm have been a musician since I was a child, but I never played anything like country music. I played conventional music. I was classically trained, and as a young man, obviously, I played in garage bands and cover bands that travelled around and were, to put it not too high, moderately successful. Um, or moderately unsuccessful, as the case may be. And then about 10 years ago now, I just decided to go and play in the street at the Tamworth Country Music Festival. And so I went up with some friends and I just played in the street. I didn't play country music at all. I played different genres. I played flamenco and some classical and some jazz. And people came past and they didn't listen, and that was fine. And then after about 10 years or so of going up to Tamworth, I decided that I'm going to learn how to play in the country style. And so having gone to Tamworth and then having learned how to play guitar in the country, sort of country style, this song is about going to Tamworth and playing in the street. And I don't come from the country, I come from the city. And music is my passion, but it's not my job. It's not my profession. It's not what I've done. It's just been a fantastic thing, a fantastic bonus to be able to play and sing. And this song is about that.
Wow. Tell us about your musical journey. How did you get started in the music business? And up to this point, are you happy where you are?
Well, for me, this has been an absolute delight. So I've done for since I played in bands as a young man, many years have gone by, and so the guitar has always been my passion. I learned and really didn't succeed at learning the violin, but the guitar has been my instrument, and I've always sung. And so when COVID struck at the beginning of 2020, we had these lockdowns, as you probably know, and one couldn't go into the office. And so I was stuck at home. I worked entirely from home. And sitting around at home when I had breaks from my work, I just started writing music. I'd never done that before. I'd written harmonies for things, but not my own work. And I wrote these songs. And they were different. Each song was different. They all had sort of like a different inspiration. The 16 at the Movies song, which has got quite a lot of airplay, surprisingly, is autobiographical. Obviously, my wife and I have been together since we were 16, and so which is now pushing 50 years. And so,
Oh, wow.
and that song is about us. And the Garage Band Blues song is about playing in garage bands and what life was like in those days in the late 60s, early 70s, playing in neighborhood garage bands with people. The Hallelujah psalm is based on a melody that my father sang. I revamped it and changed it, but it's based on a Psalm 113. It's not a religious song in any way, but it's based on that word. And then there was the fourth song in that EP is called "Photo by the Sea," and it's based on a photograph of my wife and I on the beach when we were young people. And so that's how all of that happened. It's just, and then once I'd written this music, I have sort of like connections with friends and that who've performed, and somebody said you should have it recorded, and I, through a series of coincidences, serendipities, call it what you like, I was put in touch with a very fine young violinist and a good studio engineer, and I recorded those 4 songs. So we started off with At the Movies, or 16 at the Movies, and and then somebody mentioned to me, I have no recollection who this is, but somebody mentioned to me that if I wanted to try and have the music distributed, I should contact Blue Shamrock. And that's how that happened. I just called Stephen cold. And I said, would you distribute this music? And I sent it to him, and he said he would, which was, a great benefit to me. Thank you, Stephen. And then so we started with the 16 at the Movies, and he sent me all of these emails telling me that it had got all this airplay, which was an entire new world for me. I didn't even know where I was going with any of this. And he's just been very helpful. The artwork was put together by somebody that I just asked to help me with it. And really a fantastic thing was in the Hallelujah song, the backing vocals is my elder daughter. And so it's kind of been a family thing. So it's just, all I can say is that I feel truly blessed by getting this. It's just been a benefit to me, out of nowhere. And that's really the potted version of the story as to where I am now with this music.
Wow. I mean, I hear you talk about Stephen Brady. He's an amazing guy. And, he and I have been doing the show for a really long time. And, time and time again, when you talk to artists and you ask them, how did you find out about Stephen Brady and Blue Shamrock music? Kind of like the story you just shared. It's kind of similar with the other artists have shared as well. He has a big heart for the music industry, and he's all about helping and supporting upcoming artists like yourself who are established. So let's talk about music for a bit. Take a step back memory lane. When you first started and you got into music to where it is right now. What are your thoughts about the music when you first broke in? to where it is right now?
Russell, I learned a huge amount in the process of recording it. There were the recording engineer and the violinist who were going to work with me on this. They arranged for studio musicians, a bass player and a drummer. So all the guitar work on all the albums is mine. But there's the backing is live. And when I went into the studio the first time, I think the studio musicians, who were good musicians, I think were a little skeptical, say, who's this bloke who's just coming out of the woodwork? Is this going to be okay? And it turned out that it was okay. I think they found out that I wasn't too bad. I could play and I could sing a bit. And so what then happened was a process. They were very generous, just as Stephen has been very generous. With his time and advice. These musicians and the recording engineers were very generous. They were extremely courteous and understanding, and they knew that this was new for me. And so they guided me along that. And so what's happened, I think, from when I first started the recording, the product that is now being produced, I think, is a more attractive product. And due to an absolute coincidence, I was put in contact with a music producer called Jamie Fonte more recently, and he suggested that maybe Herm Kovac, I don't know if you know of Herm Kovac, but he's a leading country music producer in Australia, and he said he thinks that Herm may be prepared to record Take Me to a Country Town, and I no idea. So, but he contacted Herm and he listened to the 4 earlier songs, and he said, yes, okay, I'll record it for you. And so when I went, Herm has got this beautiful studio in Davidson. It's in the forest area, not far from where I live, with a 1970s analog mixing desk, and he's a doyen, and he took me on, and he said, okay. And from time to time, they said, look, I think maybe it would be better if you did it this way, or if you did it this way, because I had no real fixed vision. I had no real fixed vision of what the outcome would be. I kind of had a general idea. And so I spent a day with a bass player and a drummer who were fantastic, and Herm and Jamie, and they produced Take Me to a Country Town. And I was just thrilled with and then I sort of had this out of body moment. I said, did I write that? Did I write that? I actually find it difficult to kind of come to grips with the fact that I've written this music and played it. And so my wife said to me, I didn't know you had it in you.
Wow.
And yeah, and a very good friend of mine and colleague with whom I've worked over many years, he played the song to his wife, and his wife said, why don't you write me a song?
Oh, wow. So see, your music's getting very techy out there, huh?
That's kind of where it's got to. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question, but that's the one I'm giving.
I like it. I like it. So as you mentioned, you've been in the music industry for a really long time. Let's focus
Yeah,
on country music today compared to what it was
yeah,
back in the day. Obviously, it's
yeah,
changed. You know, you got a lot of
yeah.
artists crossing over and getting into country music, and the word out is country music is the thing. It's the place to be if you want to get into music, if you want to get your name out there, and if you want to make some money. Country music is the place to be. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a new discovery, and I agree. It's obviously it's not static. One listens to the old, very early, what people used to describe as country and western. Clearly there's been a progression. It's a lot more sophisticated. But that having been said, that old country music has a certain resonance, which I really love. The sentiment of it, I love, and the way that people played those instruments, I love. But as things today, the country music, as I understand, country music is no fixed boundaries. I mean, people talk about legacy country music or modern country music. I'm just sort of floating around in that pond aimlessly in a way, and just loving watching other people play and hearing, and now becoming more acutely aware of what the components are of these fantastic songs that are being produced, and what the sophisticated musicianship that's involved in them, and the bringing together of all of these elements to create a product that is really attractive to the ear and has fantastic sentiment. I mean, there's a lot of old sentiment that I like. It might be because I'm an old person now, but that's just the way it is.
So you like the John Denver, Kenny Rogers, uh, you
All
know,
of that, and even before that, even older than that.
Nash.
I love that singing. I sang as a youth. I sang all those John Denver songs, of course, and all of that kind of sort of folky, almost folky music. But then I loved Glenn Campbell's guitar playing, see, and so I used to try and play a bit like that. Although the biggest influence on me as a guitarist was Jose Feliciano, so which he's not a country musician at all, but he played the Spanish guitar. And I saw him live a couple of times and so on and so forth, and I used to try and imitate him. So that I've brought to bear in the stuff that I'm playing, it includes all of these different things that I've been lucky enough on that path to come into contact with, and to some even modest extent learn. And so, to take your point, the country music today has moved, but it's moved in a way which is attractively complex and attractively simple at the same time.
Other than the songs that we spoke about, I mean, what's next on your agenda as you continue with your musical journey?
I'll tell you the next thing. I've written a song which is I'm going to be recording in the end of January, which Herm Kovac has agreed to produce, and which Stephen has agreed in advance, perhaps taking a big risk, to distribute for me. It's called Troop Train, TROOP Train, and it's about, I served as a soldier. I was in the military, so it's about the morning that I was drafted into the army, and caught a train to an army camp, and after serving 2 years came back, and it's a song about that. So it's kind of country, and that's my new song. It's kind of country, and it's kind of also has a bit of a rocky feel about it. So that's the next song. And then I've also written an instrumental song, which I'm hoping to record at the same time. And the reason it's instrumental is because I've completely failed to be able to devise any lyrics. And it's called Country Calypso. It's like a merger of country guitar playing with the kind of a calypso beat. It's got that kind of almost Shadows Ventures feel about it, to me anyway. And so that's where I go from there.
It sounds like when you write your music, it's all based on experiences, as you mentioned throughout this interview this evening. Is that not meant?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the source of all of this is my own experience. The country calypso thing is a bit different, but all the other songs are about stuff that I know, that I've been through or seen or felt, enjoyed, or found difficult. So that's what it's been. It's a kind of an outlet.
The people that are watching now and the listeners will be watching later, how can they download your music, and how can they get in contact with you directly?
Right. So the downloading all my music is on all the platforms, on all the internet platforms. It's all there. So far as getting in contact with me directly, they can contact me, I'm quite sure, via Stephen. If there's something that somebody wants to contact me about, I'm sure Stephen wouldn't mind being contacted.
When you're on stage and you're playing your music, I'm like
Yeah.
a first-time fan coming to your show. What can I expect?
Right. So I'm not doing a huge amount of live performances, Russell. It's not the gigging scene is really for me largely done. So I will play on occasions. Uh, I will play on dedicated occasions, but I'm not doing sort of like gigging concerts or anything like that at the moment. So I'm really concentrating on this recording. I'm going up to Tamworth. I'll be in Tamworth next week. I'll be playing in the street, but I've also my 12-year-old granddaughter, who's a useful bass player, and I will be doing. We will be playing this number in what's called the Buskers Roundup at the Courthouse Hotel, on the stage at the Courthouse Hotel. But I don't have any ambitions at this point to go back to being regularly on any stage. I don't at the moment. I don't want to do that. When I retire from my day job, I might do that, but right now I have a day job, so I'm not going to do that.
As we mentioned throughout the interview here, you've been in the music industry for a long time. Do you have any memories you'd like to share with us? If so, what are they and why are they so lasting to you?
Yeah, I remember when we were playing the first real band that I started playing in. It was formed when I was at university with a bunch of people, fellow students who we met. And we formed this sort of covers band. We traveled around. We did sort of like the pubs and clubs scene. I don't know if that translates into American terminology, but that's, sort of like dance clubs that they used to exist, and hotels and so on and so forth. And what I do remember is one of the blokes in the band who played drums. We used to finish these gigs late, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we used to take the equipment in the back of a van. We had access to two vans. One that belonged to my father. My father was a car electrician, and he had a van which we used to use. And the other guy, who had a van, his father was at some form of supply business, I forget. And so after these gigs, we used to have to go and dump our equipment somewhere. So we had to go and dump it at somebody's house. It had to be one of our houses. And so 2 o'clock in the morning, these two vans pull up outside this house of the drummer's father. His father was an attorney. And we open the door. His father's standing there in striped pajamas. And as we walk in with these Marshall cabinets and so on, plonk them directly in the middle of his lounge room. I remember him saying, "Are we the chosen people?" So yes, we chose you. So
Like or
we
not,
dumped,
you're chosen.
we dumped all our equipment. We dumped all our equipment in the middle of his lounge room. Over those years with those people, they went on to do different things. And then in latter years, for me, the most memorable thing about all of this has been the enjoyment of playing in the studio with these very good studio musicians who have favored me with playing with them. That's, for me, in recent days, that's been the highlight. I've loved playing with these really fine musicians, and they've generously agreed to help me play with this stuff. So that's the big thing.
We also have upcoming aspiring artists to watch our show as well. What bit of advice would you share to the upcoming artists who maybe would like to be sitting in this spot you're in right now? How can they get to where you are?
Well, for me, I need to make something clear. I'm not in this. I don't. Whatever I do, I haven't done out of necessity, and I don't need to earn money out of it. It's not that I am really desperate to do well out of it. It's just the enjoyment for me, the inspiration of doing it. But and I'm not qualified to give any meaningful advice to any person who's trying to break into music or show business. But what I have learned since my first day of full-time work, which was the 2nd of February 1976, what I have learned is that you have to prepare, that whatever it is you're going to do it properly. You can love doing it, but in the end of the day, it's the practice, it's the preparation, it's the commitment, and in the end result, it's the execution that's important. If you're just playing for 3 people around a barbecue, play the best you can. If you're going to play in a pub and it's a little bit rough and wild, still don't abandon your standards. Do the best job, and the rest is likely to look after itself. If you're known to do a good job out of what you do, doesn't matter what it is. I think that is a key element to getting to where you want to be.
If you could change one thing in the music industry, what would it be?
I think it's a real pity that artists, whether they're performing artists or writing artists, are not sufficiently compensated by royalties anymore for the work that they do. I think that's I would change that if I could. The economics of it are different, but there are people out there who are producing work and it's being paid, and in the end result, unless they've got millions and millions of sales, the only way they can be compensated at all for their work is to go and perform it live. It seems to me. That's what I would change if I could. I think people who are producing stuff would be better off with royalties. If I could change that, I would.
Why is there such a big gap from your big time artists to like in artists like where like for the platform you're on to like the big time artists? Why is there such a big gap there? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a lot of economics in it, Russell. I think there's if it's going to be a product that's going to generate income for someone, not the artist, but if it's going to be a product that's going to attract merchandising, if it's going to attract a target market, if it's and it's directed towards attracting the target market with economic backing from an investor or company that knows what they're doing in that field, then the artist is going to get the benefit of that. For the rest of us, we're just kind of scratching around down on the bottom.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate the feedback. Is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners who are listening now and watching, and will be listening and watching a little bit later on? What would you like to share with them?
I would like to share with them the pleasure and joy that I have got over the last 2 or 3 years. Music always I got derived enormous pleasure, but creating this, which is a new thing for me, the process of creating, the creativity that's been involved, and the bringing to fruition of something that at least one person says, "Gee, I like that. I enjoyed that. I'm playing it in my car. It's an earworm. I like that song." For me, that is enough recompense in itself, and for me, I just regard that as just totally lucky.
Right on. So outside of music, do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, sure. I'm a keen but not that great golfer. I'm a chess player. That's another thing that I do. I run. I'm a very avid runner. I've got quite a lot of interests. I have 5 grandchildren, so they keep me a little bit occupied from time to time. And this is apart from the music, obviously. So and then I work. I also have a job.
Wow, sounds like you're a busy guy there.
Yeah. I am.
Well, definitely appreciate your time on our show this evening. We wind down here again. David Hammerschlag is on live with us here on the Artist Spotlight Show, being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady. Again, we are Music Dreams USA Radio. We are a radio station of Titan Events Incorporated. and also Rise Up Family Sports with DeAndre the Torch Robinson. And again, David, it was so nice to have you on the show this evening. Any final thoughts before we wind down?
No, Russell, the last thing I'd like to say is just to thank you for your time and listening to me prattle on, and to your listeners if they're going to listen to me prattle on, and to Stephen for arranging this and for assisting me in getting my music out there. And it's been a pleasure to meet you, and all the best to you.
Right back at you. You know, this ain't gonna be the last time we meet each other. We might have you back for. We had so much fun on the show this evening. We might have you back for part 2.
Any time.
And also, speaking of that, make sure you check out the Russell K, Alexa, and Shauna Brown with our DJ Cassie, our new intern, with our morning show tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
I will do
And
that.
we are going to play David's new song. And David, can you tell our audience what's the name of that new song that we'll be playing tomorrow?
Take me to a country town.
There you go. You hear it live on the Russell K, Alexa, and Shauna Brown morning show with DJ Cassie. You don't want to miss it, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on Music Dreams USA Radio. And a special thank you to David, to also Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music. If you're an upcoming aspiring artist and you want to be on our show, we'd love to have you. Reach out to Stephen Brady. Tell him all about you. And who knows, you may be one of our next guests. Well, David, my friend, you take care. Happy New Year's to you. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks to you,
All
mate.
right, take care. Again, that was David Henslog
See ya.
on the Artist Spotlight Show. We cannot thank him enough for his time this evening. Well, evening where I'm at, morning where he's at. But until the next time, you can check out the Artist Spotlight Show every Wednesday. We've actually changed our time now. It's from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. right here, Eastern Time on Music Dreams USA Radio. Until then, friends, take care. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time on the Artist Spotlight Show with your friend Russell K. Wishing you and yours a very pleasant good evening.